You don't have any background on Hoodry for talking to Burt?
No.
Was there any background in any of your tapes regarding Hoodry so far?
Maybe a little bit on Alex Mills, but that's about
That's
it.
about it.
He talked
Okay.
more about himself.
I'm just trying to think how to put this into context. Maybe we'll let Jim McAvoy give you some of that. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, so let's go. Okay. So right now you're talking with Lee Tucci with the Hoodry division or Hoodry Incorporated of United Catalyst. Hoodry was purchased by United Catalyst in June of 1990. And I go back with Hoodry back to about 1980. Before that, with various products and air products and chemicals, which was the owner of Hoodry until 1990, and then before that with DuPont. So I'm just going to talk now about Hoodry in the 1980s and 1990s. Particularly in the 1990s. In the last 10 years, and particularly since UCI acquired Hoodry, we've had some considerable success in the area of dehydrogenation of butanes and propane to make isobutylene for MTB and propylene for polypropylene. Since 1988, there have been 10 new dehydrogenation plants built using Hoodry technology. These represent roughly investment on the part of a client of over $2 billion. And if you included the upstream or downstream equipment, for example, in MTB, usually you'll have an isomerization unit, then you need an etherification plant. You could add 30–40% more to that number. So Hoodry in the last 10 years has had over $2 billion of customer investment. And right now, particularly in the area of isobutylene to MTB, Hoodry plants are quite successful. They are making isobutylene to account for about 25–30% of the world's MTBE, including isobutylene from all sources, byproduct from crackers, FCC units, and other dehydrogenation technologies. Hoodry has around 25–30% of the total output. We have one plant in Saudi Arabia owned by National Methanol Company, Ibn Sina, that is producing at the rate of about 1 million ton per year of MTBE all by itself. This is from a 5-reactor Hoodry plant, which is responsible for the isobutylene, which is roughly 600,000 ton a year of isobutylene, and the balance is MTB, more or less. In MTB, about 64% is isobutylene, the balance MTB is methanol. So you have a very large capacity technology, you might say. And it's interesting about these plants and the fact that $2 billion have been invested in them over the last 10 years, because the first commercial Hoodry dehydrogenation plant was 55 years ago in 1943 to make 15,000 ton a year of butadiene for the war effort. Here at United Catalyst, we've been very fortunate in first of all, having a very good growth in the use of our technology. Secondly, our management has really supported the technology. Any needs we've identified in the way of equipment, personnel has been made available. We've built brand new standalone catalyst plant, which started up in 1993, using process technology we had back at Air Products, originally sited at Fallsboro, New Jersey, but modernizing it. And this plant has worked extremely well. It's computer controlled. The product quality is extremely good, very uniform product. The catalyst actually performs better, even though we didn't change the formulation. We have a little graph which we show the clients, and every client accepts it, that performance today is better because of improved controls. We have better chemical uniformity on the material, still the same recipe, but because of the improved controls, the catalyst comes out closer to what the R&D people would like than it did in the previous plant. And also we've built state-of-the-art dehydrogenation laboratories here, which are supporting Hoodry, And we're able to build up a technical service staff also at Air Products that lost interest in the business in the very late 80s, and we had a lot of retirement, so our technical service staff at that time was almost non-existent. We did have one very good guy, Bob Morris, who came with to UCI. He just retired from UCI last August. He's working for us part-time as a consultant, but with his expertise, we were able to bring in younger people and train them. We have a very good team. It might be of interest that in all of our dehydrogenation plants and our other plants also, we have some dealkylation plants that make benzene scattered around the world. Had 2 new plants commissioned in Saudi Arabia and 1 in China in the last several years. All these plants use 100% hydrogen catalyst. And in fact, there's no plant where we're even seriously threatened by a competitor. And the reason is the catalyst performance has been very good. That's number 1. Number 2, our business strategy has been to try to support our customers in every way we can with service, with research, with catalyst recycling, with helping them in the marketplace through participation in the Oxygenated Fuel Association, which is important for the MTB market, in every conceivable way, and to avoid any kind of monopolizing price competition or price gouging or anything like the customer. We don't try to do that, and really our customers seem to be most satisfied, and we don't feel there's any competitor that any client worldwide is seriously thinking about switching to. And I think it's because of a combination of the technology and the service and the business philosophy we have that our success is only attained through our customers. If our customers don't make money, they don't have a good performing plant, we don't have a business. Right now, we're focusing on where do we go in the next 10 years. We have a sound catalyst technology, and we're trying to build on that. We've got some improvements coming along that look as if they'll enhance performance in both isobutylene and propylene production. So we're hoping we'll be able to get more process plants because improved catalysts and also maybe related process improvements. And if one area we're looking at by changing the shape of the catalyst and the geometry, we'd be able to change the reactor configuration. Right now in hydrogen dehydrogenation plants, we have basically a shallow bed reactor, and one of the reasons is pressure drop through the catalyst bed. So we're looking at changing that, stacking the catalyst up higher, and having Lummus, which is our partner in marketing this technology, redesign the reactor. We're also looking independently if there's ways which our expertise in chromium catalysts and aluminas, which are considerable, might be used to branch out into other areas that are independent of dehydrogenation or in other areas of dehydrogenation. So that's one of the things we're trying to do to develop further growth in our basic business. And quite sure that 10 years from now, there'll be a number of hydrogen plants running and maybe in some new processes.
Now the plant in Paulsboro, was that the one over on the parking lot side?
It was right next to the mobile refinery,
Yes.
and I'm not sure what you mean by the parking lot.
Well, the research had a big parking lot.
Okay, I guess that's right.
Yeah.
It was across from that research area, and originally that was quote a Hoodry plant, although maybe it was owned partially by Mobil. I know when I got involved in the business, we were getting steam from Mobil, and Mobil owned part of the land. All of it was not owned by Air Products. That site and that facility is still there, but there's no more Hoodry dehydrogenation catalysts made there. That was all shut down in 1993 after we got the new plant in Louisville started up. My understanding is Air Products has taken that equipment out and using the space for other purposes.
So Air Products still owns that?
They still own that site, that's right. That was a multi-product site. Actually, the main product was made there beside the Hoodry chromium and other traditional heterogeneous catalysts was Danco, which was used in making urethane foam. That originally was a Houdry process company invention, but was ultimately spun off into another group by Air Products, and is still with Air Products.
Now, the catalyst is still just improvements of the original one? Or?
Yes, we've looked at probably hundreds of formulations over the years, but right now our catalyst is chrome and aluminum, which is the same fundamental chemistry that was utilized in 1943 with the first plant. However, there are some significant performance differences. The catalyst was first utilized, was subject to heavy coking in making butadiene and had a life of only about 3 months. Today, in Houdry butadiene plants, in which there are 2 operating at the moment, the life is closer to 30 months than it is to 3 months. And the yields and everything else are generally better. We're also looking, and I didn't mention before, to have a client start making isoprene, one of our plants. That'll start probably around the 1st of April. This is a butadiene plant that has been having business problems making money with butadiene by dehydrogenation, but which was making isoprene by a combination of a fluid bed and a fixed bed process. These are Russian processes, and they said they had and have a large market for isoprene, but their costs were far too high for them to have a viable business in the new free Russia. So we gave them some pilot plant results, which they said if they're able to realize a commercial basis, it'll make their business very viable. And they're going to implement that, as I say, right around the 1st of April 1988. So we'll see what will happen.
So you may have a whole
new market application for our technology and another growing market.
What's the biggest changes you've seen since you started in this area?
I think the biggest change is really in the market. From strictly talking about Houdry and dehydrogenation, when I got into Houdry, there were no isobutane plants, there were no propane to propylene plants, there were no isopentane to isoprene plants. The business was making butadiene. At one time, there were 18 to 19 Houdry butadiene plants all over the world. Today, there's 2 that are operating, and then 2 in Russia, which are relatively new, started up around 1988. As I mentioned earlier, now our business is in making isobutylene, propylene, maybe isoprene. So been a total change in the product mix, also the capacity of plants. The original Houdry butadiene plant started in 1943, made 15,000 tons a year. Now we're talking about one that's actually operating, makes 600,000 tons a year. Big change in the scale of operation, without adding too many more reactors, and more much bigger reactors. Increased throughput, better designs, better catalysts.
And which has made the biggest difference, the catalyst or the process changes?
I believe it's a catalyst. Yes, that's right, because the process is fundamentally the same. Right. We're looking at ways to improve it, but really there haven't been any real major changes in the process for quite a few years.
So this is one instance for making a
Better
more active catalyst,
right.
and better
process performance,
has
has made kept this process commercially viable for 55 years.
Now, would you describe these as revolutionary changes or just continually?
They're continual changes. Even the changes we're working on now will make significant but evolutionary changes, not radical changes.
Well,
maybe that's all we have to say.